of the medicinal plants globally are in the tropical rainforest of Africa and the Amazon. But others are making huge money out of their own. China, that is not in the tropical rainforest, makes more money than us. And every day we say there's no work. And if somebody says, talks about a herbalist or anything, and we all stop because religion has become the biggest industry in Nigeria. So we are more interested in religion, and you don't want to hear that word, herbalist or anything. Well, for most of us have herbalists, and a lot of us have gone traditional. But that, I'm not telling anybody to join me. You can stay where you are. Resource efficient and cleaner production allows businesses to apply integrated and continuous preventive environmental strategies to process products and services to increase efficiency and reduce risks to humans and the environment. In short, resource efficient and cleaner production helps companies to minimize the environmental impact of their operations and cut their use of resources while raising productivity. To be more efficient in the way we use our stock of natural resources, we need to rethink how we design and make our products. Next slide. Okay, these are all about, you will get this lecture, so I don't want to belabor this part. For industrial practices, design, RECP approach is fully aligned with the principles and goals of the circular economy. I've talked about the circular economy. If I mentioned it at the in particular, which works to keep resources in use for as long as possible, extracting their maximum value and relocating waste from the end of the supply chain to the beginning, thus giving a new life to used materials. We talk about the 3 R's, okay? The concept of, what are the 3 R's? Who knows what the 3 R's are in resource efficiency? Huh? Yes, just say, you're right. And like I always say, no answer is ever stupid. I mean, we keep learning from one another. Yes? Huh? Yes, recycle, yeah? Reuse, good. You people have said 2 now. They're actually for, but go on. Eh? Yes, waste minimization, reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay? Okay. Next slide, please. RECP addresses 3 sustainability dimensions individually and synergistically. Production efficiency. It improves the productive use of natural resources. I've used the example of paper, the amount of wood. We have to fell trees to be able to produce paper, okay? There are so many other things about resources that we can, the young man, like he said, the cassava peels, yam peels. You go to the market. If you get to our markets, you will see all these women that do porridge yam in the market, that do fufu in the market. The yam peels and all these things are just dumped there. I'm thrown into the dustbin. But that's big money. Because all you need to do is, if the young man was serious, how many markets do we have in Abuja? If he's able to, and that's why government like federal, I'm happy that my boss, the Federal Ministry of Environment, is here, they should be listening. If they can find all these cheap global fundings, because they are available, Global Climate Fund will, that they want to take on a few young entrepreneurs who will provide services of collecting biodegradable materials from our markets and sorting them. Or they do an integrated waste management facility with sorting facilities where we can get something like this yam peelings. Yam peeling, how can we be wasting yam peels and potato peels and plantain peels in a country where hunger is killing people? Apart from that, they can be used for food, because I know that they are used for a labor, but that's not the critical thing. The important thing is that that's what I use them to feed my goats. And so you can imagine if you go around the market, a young man takes it on himself. They assist the person with buying a van, with an open van that he can go to from Wuse Market to Taco Market to Kukwa Market to, by the time he goes around daily and collects, he might collect up to 5 tons, 10 tons of biodegradable potato bags, plantain bags, yam bags, name them, leaves. And then he comes and dries them. Or he assists him get a key. But weather is so good that you can actually dry consistently. And then he grinds and packages them in bags and sells them as feed, animal feed. There's no goat that you will give ground yam peels with potato peels and plantain peels combined and mixed. That's luxury. That's big man's food for goats. That's what I'm saying. But when we say these things, but they are very doable. And we can now carry these things, and then we go and dump them in Idu dump site, and then they produce so much methane. They rot and produce methane, and then we come out there, and every time you get to Idu, there's smoke everywhere. And then they say, somebody has put fire on. Listen, nobody has put fire there. It is what we call auto-combustion. When methane meets oxygen in the atmosphere, it burns. And that's what causes all those fires. So what it tells you is that you are wasting so much money by that fire because it's energy that you're burning. So, but we just use it as one example. So that's what RECP teaches you, that one man's waste material is another man's raw material. So if we decided for those people who cook, make yam and fufu and yam porridge and all that, that thing that they call waste, we call raw material for somebody who is going to be producing organic feed. And it will be more expensive than these feeds that they sell in all these other places. So if you now understand the concept of one man's waste being another man's raw material. So, and it is part of the concept of waste minimization. But most of all, that you don't waste resources. Environmental protection, minimize the impact on nature. I have the same example, I'll use the same example. I'll use the issue of carrying biodegradable materials and going to dump them in dump sites. And then they produce so much methane. And methane is the most harmful of the climate change gases. I've said it is about 32 times stronger than carbon dioxide. So it is, when this gets into the atmosphere, it is part of what causes that blanket. Okay? What's the word again? Not ozone. Ozone is the refrigerant. I have everybody here. Come on. I'm an old man. My brain does not work as fast as you guys do. There's something green. Yes, greenhouse gas. Yeah, that's the greenhouse effect. That's what we talk about when we talk about climate change. Okay? Because what is the greenhouse effect all about? Who can tell me what it's all about? It's important. You people must learn these things. You must. It's very important. We must start understanding the concept of climate change. We can't come here and just talk about RECP and then walk away. You must go away with something. What is greenhouse effect all about? What is it all about? And that's why we talk about climate change. If you don't understand what the greenhouse effect is all about, then you can never understand the issue about climate change, because that is the critical issue. That is the cocoa of the matter. Greenhouse effect. Who can tell me what greenhouse effect is about? Okay, yes, please. Yes, that's why I said, no, you're not just trying. That you're saying what you know, and there's never a stupid answer in education. You don't have to be correct. You don't have to be. Take a mic. Teach us a little bit.
This is the greenhouse effect, right?
Yeah.
I feel they are the gases. Okay. Sorry. I feel they are the gases emitted from industries, factories, carbon emissions. So they go there and form, we have a blanket already. The oxygen blanket is there. That's the ozone layer is there already. So I feel they go there and they form a blockage. They form their own blanket. So to me, I think that's that. I can't remember my biology again, but I feel that is it. The blanket covering below the, and what they call it, the ozone layer, they form their own there. Because when there's the gases are emitted into the atmosphere, they form a cloud. They just gather and form a cloud, so blocking the ozone layer. So that's what I think.
See, you've made a genuine effort, and you got about the cloud being. The issue about the greenhouse, so that because we don't have too much time, you want to answer?
It's the process by which the Earth, by which the Earth atmosphere traps the heat from the sun.
Yes, that's exactly that. You got you're both right. It's about blankets. You want to add? Yeah, let's all it's participate. Let's go ahead. Go ahead. My man, I greet you, sir.
Yes, the greenhouse effect emanates from the agricultural sector. You know, in the agri sector, they usually have plant nurseries that they keep inside a house made with, most of the time, glass. So when the gases are not able to escape, they form a cloudy atmosphere within that glass space. So when you look at it from outside, you see that seemingly white film inside that glass. So the same thing happens in our atmosphere when these greenhouse gases are emitted and they are not able to go out. So they stay and form that cloud in the atmosphere. So that's the greenhouse effect.
This guy take over from me and just continue where I have. So but you're all right. You all have the concept, basically. The important thing about greenhouse, that's why I say RECP. We can. That's one thing you must go. The most critical danger facing humanity right now is climate change. Right? Climate change is caused by the greenhouse effects of our activities. Okay? Yeah, he was right. You're right about the blanket. You're right, sir. About now, a greenhouse is what was developed, especially people in the temperate areas of the world, because they cannot grow certain crops. We do greenhouses here, but I always ask people, what are we doing with all these greenhouse things? Unless we want to do air conditioning to be able to grow temperate crops. Because even our environment, our weather is so beautiful, so natural to grow so many things. We are the most blessed part of earth. There's no question of that. It's just that we've been burdened with the worst form of leadership that, for whatever reason, God just teased us by putting us in the best part of the world and then they've not allowed any good man to come close to that place. But it will happen one day. I pray that it happens in your generation. The good leaders will come, because this could become the greatest nation on earth with so much little effort. But many of us, we thought it will happen in our lifetime, but we are on our way out. So those of you that are still there, pray seriously. That one good man, it takes only one good man. See, how many days has Trump stayed in America? He's changed the history of America. It's what leadership is all about. Whether we support him or whether we do not support him, he has said it is America first. And he is facing that task. I might not agree with all that he's doing, but I'm talking from a Nigerian perspective, from my own selfish. He's thinking about himself, his children, and his children's children. What will be best for them? That's the mistake our leaders make. They believe that if you steal enough and you can send your children out, then God has blessed you. That is not how God works. Because God had a reason for putting you where you are, and you're supposed to make where you are. But let me not go into religion and politics. Let's talk about greenhouses that we were talking about. So the greenhouse is where, in the temperate things, they want to grow tropical fruits, but their weather does not allow it most of the time. So they build it, yes, those glass houses that you see and the rest of them. And then it traps heat. It traps heat. So it does not allow heat to escape. And by not escaping, the temperature within that environment is high enough for them to grow tropical fruits. Okay? In the same way, when we release these gases like methane, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, sulfur oxide into the atmosphere, we have different layers of atmosphere, stratosphere, lithosphere, the lithosphere up to stratosphere, okay? But it gets above the stratosphere, and then when it gets there, it forms a blanket. They don't dissipate easily. When they form this blanket up there, what happens is that the sun's rays come from the sun. The greatest source of energy is from the sun, okay? The amount of energy that comes from the sun. But what has saved humanity is that God has made it in such a way. When those rays come from the sun, they hit the surface of the earth and are reflected back into the atmosphere. So that's why you have a constant, it heats up, you get enough heat, but it does not stay trapped in here. So what is happening with greenhouse gases is that these rays now come in, they can't go back into the, above the atmosphere. So these gases trap it. And so some go out, if not, would have all been gone by now. But quite a lot, and so because of it, the earth is getting warmer by the day. Every year, the temperature is rising. We are seeing, and it is not something that is hidden. Before, people were arguing, if you go to places like Ondo State, Ayotoro, I have been assigned the Ministry of Environment with the World Bank. I've gone, and 5 years ago when we went there were houses more than 600 meters into the sea. By the time we went back 2 years or 3 years, okay, but I can't remember. I remember we went with this governor that just died. Those houses, more than 500 meters had come in. The buildings had all gone. So there's rising sea level. There's no question about that. The rainfall patterns have changed. Floods are occurring are increasing. But it's not only about floods, because when we say some areas are experiencing less rainfall, okay? The growing seasons of plants are changing. The global ice caps are melting, and that's why the oceans are rising. So there's a real big issue. We are seeing new diseases, because when we talk about, that's why I said it's climate change issues affect every sector. In the health sector, we are seeing new diseases. We are seeing people that were in areas like Chad and Niger, because when they say all these things, if somebody is growing cattle and sheep and goats and all that, and then the population is encroaching and his animals are dying, that's his only source of living and income. And you said he should not move. Haba. It's not possible now. People will keep moving, and so there'll be impacts. And because people will resist and all that, there'll be clashes. So it's an essential issue for humanity. And so that's why it's good that we understand this concept about, so the greenhouse effect and the climate change issues. Support communities and reduce risks, that is social enhancement. If industries are functioning well, production is going on well, and all that, communities definitely benefit. There's what we call social responsibilities. But let's move on, because we have a lot under. I know that I don't want people to get tired, though. The UNIDO RECP approach follows a structured methodology to improve industrial efficiency. It systematically assesses and optimizes industrial processes through good housekeeping, which, when the practical sessions begin, these are things, good housekeeping, as simple as it sounds, is so important in RECP and in industrial production. Process optimization, enhancing operational efficiency, technology upgrades, investing in advanced resource-efficient solutions. I've mentioned it with quite a lot of them. He mentioned a lot of them when he talked about IEE. And consistent repairs, and I mentioned it when I was talking about clean development mechanism. Waste valorization, converting waste into valuable byproducts. I have talked a lot on that. I use simple examples like yam peels. Next slide. Principles of RECP. Systematic approach, assess, identify, implement, and monitor improvements. increased productivity, efficient use of resources, materials, water, energy, leads to cost savings and improved production, thereby reducing inefficiencies at the source rather than treating pollution afterward. Environmental protection, reduction of waste, emissions, and pollution to minimize environmental impact. Human development, improved working conditions and health benefits for employees and communities. Continuous improvement, ongoing optimization based on performance monitoring. We are going to do ISO 14,000 series tomorrow. We'll still talk about this tomorrow so that you people don't get too tired. Next slide. UNIDO RECP 5-step assessment process. Good housekeeping is a crucial first step, but industries must systematically analyze, implement, and sustain efficiency improvement. The UNIDO RECP assessment process follows a structured plan, do, check, act, cycle to identify, implement, and sustain RECP improvements. The RECP process follows 5 key steps. This is the fundamental basic decision. RECP is a concept that was designed by experts, procured by UNIDO. So it is a concept that belongs to them, but it is a global concept now. And these are the 5 key steps. Commitment and planning phase. You must plan before you can implement. You must conceptualize, think it through, then plan on how you are going to deliver on improvements in your production processes. Assessment phase, of course, I've talked about leaking points along the way. I've talked about emissions. I've talked about your production materials, your resources, your raw materials, how do you get them, and all that. So you assess that and see which will improve your production process. Identification of RECP measures. What are the things that we need to do to improve? Are we going to change from, what's that of, okay, what is the name of that, your bulb, the old one that we were using? Not LED, that incandescent bulbs. Are we going to change all these energy-consuming incandescent bulbs that have been here to LED bulbs? If we are changing, what wattage are we going to be using? You know, are we going to put things that when we go, it will automatically put off the light to conserve energy? You know, I've always told you people that energy is a resource. So don't see IEE as separate from RECP. They are symbiotic twins, okay? So water is a resource. Things that all the production processes need resources. Then implementation phase. Then when you have made all these things, done your assessment, plan, and everything, then you implement your remediation processes. And then after that, you monitor and sustain the improvement. Of course, with management, everything revolves around management. Next slide. Commitment and planning. Dedication phase, secure management commitment to RECP principles. So one of the trainings we did here was for policymakers and people at the top in government and all that. And then we've equally had trainings for top management of major industries around the country so that we get their back when their health, safety, and environment people tell them about RECP implementation and all, so that they'll understand what is being talked about. Planning and organization phase, establish a dedicated team and develop a structured plan outlining objectives, targets, and responsibilities. All these things look so simple, but they are simple, but we need to implement them. If we implement them, there are tremendous benefits. I've always said the simpler things, the best things in life. That when we used to sing that song when we were young. Yeah, they used to say the best things in life are free, right? The best things in life are free. So the simpler things usually are more effective. We always look for, it's about planning correctly, dedicating ourselves that we will implement the RECP. Then we conduct assessment, initial evaluation, conduct a preliminary assessment to identify major areas of resource consumption and waste generation. Never forget waste generation. It's I've mentioned Stockholm Conventions, I've mentioned Montreal Convention, all these things. Waste generation is critical. Polluting the environment, climate change. Detailed evaluation, perform an in-depth analysis of processes to pinpoint specific inefficiencies and potential improvements. Identification of RECP options, evaluate the technical and economic feasibility of proposed RECP measures to ensure they are practical and cost-effective. Next slide, ma'am. Then you implement. Action preparation, then you execute, right? After that, you monitor and ensure continuous improvement. There's what we call monitoring evaluation. They used to call it M&E, but we've moved from M&E. We've now moved to what? Who knows where we are now? Because it's a continuous process. Everything keeps evolving and improving. Well, we don't talk just about monitoring and evaluation any longer. We talk about monitoring, evaluation, and learning. Okay? So it's now called MEL because it's not just enough to monitor and evaluate. You must learn from your challenges, your mistakes, the things you've done right, the ones you've not done right, and then carry it and keep improving on your processes. Monitoring and continuous improvement. Check-up phase, continuous improvement. Implementing RECP not only leads to environmental benefits, but also offers economic advantages, such as reduced production costs and enhanced competitiveness. By adopting RECP practices, organizations can achieve a balance between economic growth and environmental stewardship. Next slide, ma'am. Oh. RECP assessment process. Well, the planning phase, you define your goals, okay? You form a team. Conduct your preliminary assessment. It's the same thing I've just said up there. You set clear targets. Where do we want to be by the end of this year? Where we will be by 2030? You work out your program. By projection. By 2030, we will not be using these old, inefficient boilers any longer. We will not be using outdated machines. We will know there will be no longer incandescent bulbs in our system. Our water source has to be defined and guaranteed. Are we doing a borehole? Are we connecting to the public mains? There will be no more leakages along the way because we understand that because we are connected to the public mains and getting water, there are people who don't have water, even to drink, not to talk about to eat. These are all the concepts you put into this thing. Develop an action plan outlining steps, responsibilities, and timelines. Critical responsibilities. It's not just enough for the company to say, we're going to do this. There must be who is going to deliver each one. And like what we used to say in health, safety, and environment management trainings in all industries, what we always say, the health, safety, and environment manager, the same thing, the RECP manager should not report to his manager. He should have a direct link to who? The MD, exactly. If not, all these concepts, he wants changes, the MD, the managers will, you just want to rob. We are saying we're not making enough profit, you want to kill it. But if the MD, that's why we had to train policy makers and heads of industry, so that they understand this concept. On the long run, it's cheaper and gives more profit and gives the company a better name in society. So the RECP manager must have a direct link. When you do the organogram of the company, the RECP manager must be at the center and then they have a direct with the MD. That's the only way you can achieve anything. And then, develop an action plan outlining steps, responsibilities, and timelines. Of course, we've talked about it by 2030, by 2028, we will. Without timelines, you won't achieve much. You want me to stop? No, I'm not stopping. Go on. Next slide. Next slide. RECP assessment process, assessment phase. The assessment helps. What is the time, please? I have up till 4 now. The assessment helps industries understand resource flows, inefficiencies. Sorry, I apologize. I'm just an ordinary teacher, so we like talking. That's the only. Okay. The assessment helps industries understand resource flows, inefficiencies, and environmental impacts before implementing changes. Assessment methods, material flow analysis, tracking raw material input, use, and waste. We've gone on energy audits, is dealt with that, identifying inefficiencies in energy use, water audits, evaluating water usage and wastewater discharge. And wastewater discharge is very, very important. A lot of industries use chemicals. They just discharge it into a public water system. They put it in. I did, Falaripo knows about when we're trying to develop for Kano, the textile industry in Kano, the Chalawa River. There are so many, these industries in Bompai and in Chalawa, and then we had to do studies there. And if you understand, because all the textile industries, they use a lot of hazardous chemicals that contain things like nickel and the rest of them. And all these things, what they do is that the industries, they just from their factory, they pipe it, and then it goes into the general drain, they just on the ground there, and then the rain comes and everything, and it ends up in the Chalawa River. And then, that's why I say I don't know what kind of governance we have. When we went there to do the assessment, this was some more than 10 years ago, downstream Chalawa River, people were bathing. And people were drinking water from Chalawa River and bathing in the river itself. And there was an outbreak of rashes, people with rashes and sores all over. It was until we thought this thing, it took the water to the laboratory, did assessment, and so much nickel, and kidney failures, and I keep saying it. We have governments, and all they keep talking about is when they tar 1 kilometer of road, they come on national television and tell us. Meanwhile, the human resources are not being developed. They are not training our people, and they are not protecting the lives of our people. And when people actually get these serious illnesses like kidney failure, because they are absorbing lead and nickel and the rest of them, the government does nothing. There's no free treatment. The hospitals don't function. But these are the issues we are talking about. And that's why RECP is so important. And then waste and emission analysis, mapping pollution sources and reduction opportunities. Basically what I've just talked about. Next slide. Tools for RECP assessment. Process flow diagrams, mass and energy balances, data collection sheets, on-site observations and measurement. We'll not go into these. It's for the next level of training. Okay, but it's just so that if somebody takes this lecture and you show it, let them not say that the man does not even know what he's talking about. Okay, next slide. Process flow diagrams. That's what we mean. Okay, you're going to get all these lectures, so there's no point going into all this now. Next slide. Production flow chart, block chart. Okay, it's all yours. But we'll talk about it at the next year in detail then. So it's good if you get it now, you look at it, you understand, so that when we are talking about it then, we will all understand it. Next chart. Process optimization, adjusting machine settings, improving maintenance, simple things like that. Have a technical person. Most companies do not understand that. On the long run, employing one core, technically efficient person saves you so much money. In terms of the inefficiencies of the equipment, in terms of burning, the young man there was talking about their cassava thing when the wire heats up. It's not just a question of that about load and all this. Yes, load is a critical thing. But another very critical thing is that standard organizations of Nigeria does not do its work properly. And you can quote me anywhere. There's so much fake wires in the country that they bring into the country. Okay. They said I should stop. Okay, but you are saying that, but if we are doing things correctly, we know that a lot of the wires that are coming from China are not of the quality. They tell you it's 2.5, but if you put it cannot carry what 1.5 can carry. I mean, when I was in my house, I insisted that all the wires, I'll buy them. I say it has to be either Kutix, it has to be either Kutix or Nukaku or cable metal. It costs more. It costs me a lot more. It's funny, and people don't ask questions. How can we be producing something in Nigeria and the one that is imported is cheaper? It means that the one that is being imported is either of low quality or that our people are too greedy. So part of the problem you might be having is that the quality of material is not good enough. It's a fact. And so these are part of, so getting one quality technical person that understands the issues as part of our organization is very important. And that person should probably be at the center of the resource efficient and cleaner production process. Okay? It saves you money on the long run. Input substitution, e.g., using less hazardous or more sustainable materials. Okay? And we talked about refrigerants. We've talked about the electricity industry, where we have now phased out PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, that are dielectrics that are used for the oil to keep the transformer not to get too hot. We won't get, but these things are now replaced with mineral oils, which are equally functional and less dangerous. On-site reuse and recycling, reusing water or byproducts within the facility. That's recycling. You can push the water like in breweries, and then you filter it and recycle it and get clean water again. Even in places like the UK or most of Europe, where water from the systems, from the toilet systems in homes and all that, are collected and channeled together, and they are sent to a central treatment facility and cleaned up. Don't think all that water there is not just, it is water that has been, including those from toilets and everywhere. The important thing is that it is filtered. There are stages of, there's physical, there's chemical, and then there's biological treatment. And by the time it comes out, tests are run, biological tests, chemical tests, and it is shown it is as good as water. And it is recycled to homes. And we still drink it, and we still bath with it. The same way in industry, we can recycle all this. Product modifications to improve sustainability. Monitoring and sustaining improvement. Measure performance improvements and savings. This ensures that RECP measures are effective. Adjust and refine practices based on monitoring results. Integrate RECP into long-term business strategies. Okay, it's a continuation of where we were now. Yeah, so these are, next. How to track key performance indicators, reduction in energy, water use, decrease in waste generation, cost savings. That's what we just talked about. Okay, I mentioned this much earlier. Environmental issues. They said RECP, the environmental issues are critical, important, global importance, and there's so much funding to assist you to overcome these. It's a question of open your eyes, get online, look for these opportunities. A small drip from a faucet can waste up to 50 gallons of water daily, which is enough water to run a dishwasher twice. I mean, I mentioned, I use the idea of that you bomb, and you put a bucket underneath there. In the morning, you have a full bucket. 1.5 acres of forests are lost every second globally. So you can imagine, like I use my state, Anambra. If you get to my state, we don't have, Anambra used to be part of the rainforest region. Before, that was in the days of Adam. Now, if you get to Anambra, we don't have forests again. You cannot see, I don't know of any forest in Anambra apart from those areas around Uli. Okay, and then maybe Anambra North towards Kogi. But the important thing is that we have basically destroyed our environment. And it is getting worse by the day. But the bigger problem is that we even are making it worse with interlocking. Can't we reduce the amount of interlocking that we do? Because when we are talking of one, we must talk of the second. Erosion is carrying Nigeria away. It used to be a Southeast problem. It has become a Nigerian problem now. And the major cause of erosion in this country is this issue of over-interlocking everywhere. Water is meant to get back into the ground. Apart from the fact that we have killed all the trees which are supposed to stop water dropping directly onto the soil, we are now adding extra pain to nature by interlocking it everywhere. But that's the lecture for, not for this one. It's another lecture. 20% of the world's people lack access to safe water supply. This is a global, in Nigeria, it's more than 40%. We all know that now. That how many people, even in Abuja here, is it 20%? How many people how many places do water supply get to? We don't have it. Most of our cities don't have it. And yes, we've been in a democracy now for about 25 years. And tomorrow again, you people will, anyway, let's leave politics. Seriously. Environmental control hierarchy. But the important thing about what we're talking about is that avoidance of waste, of pollution, of emissions at the point source, eliminate during production, change behavior. So this is what we call the hierarchy of or RECP. Avoidance is the most important thing. The things you can avoid wasting resources, avoid polluting, avoid emissions, harmful emissions. If you can't achieve that, the next most important is source reduction. Redesign to use less, implement new technology, introduce more durability. We talked about the 3 R's. That's what is there. Reduction, reuse, recycling. And I said it then that there was a 4th one even. Okay? And then recovery. You can recover. I use the issue of tire, that you can, all these tires that you see that we throw around everywhere, and then the rains fall and they get in there and they become breeding grounds for mosquitoes. That we can recover them and send them to tire recyclers. All they'll do is to crush them, remove the iron inside there, which is another man's raw material, and then their own, they carry it and go and make fresh plastics or fresh rubber. So one man's waste is another man's raw material. Recover energy where possible, conversion to power. Recover energy where possible. In waste treatment, let's use a simple example, incineration. In civilized environment countries, what they do is that, like what we have in Idu there, they have giant incinerators there. They burn the waste in the incineration facility with good emissions management system so that it does not pollute the environment. But what we are talking about, energy recovery, is that they now, with that heat from the incinerator, they add a boiler. So the boiler, from the heat from the incinerator, with the boiler, generates steam. The boiler then generates steam, and it's just hooked onto a turbine. Most facilities in the UK or that have incineration, they don't connect to the net. They use power and the power is now put onto the national grid. So there's so much to be done, and these things are not rocket science. Even the incinerators are even produced now in Nigeria. There's a company in Port Harcourt, they produce world-class incinerators, and all we need to do is just connect them to a boiler. It will generate steam. How is the electricity produced? It is this steam will now turn turbines, and it will produce electricity, and it's as simple as that. Then the least preferred option, treatment, containment, and disposal. Treatment and disposal are, because once we go and dump, and then landfill. There's an adage we use in environmental management. We say that wastes that go to landfills are missed opportunities. And put that in quote. Wastes to landfills are missed opportunities, because one man's waste is is another man's raw material. And we must look at all these options. Next. Making RECP a reality, secure funding and resources, conduct staff training on new procedures, install new technologies or modify processes. These are self-explanatory. And I've said there are so many global sources of funding. Global Environment Facility, Global Climate Fund, Green Fund, even Ecological Fund of Nigeria, even MTN and the rest. There are so many sources of global funding. Next slide. Key takeaways. Who is bringing challenges again? Let me do key takeaways. So we are coming to the end. The important thing is that these are the, if you don't remember anything, when you go back, just look at this sheet. What is RECP? Why is RECP important? The UNIDO RECP methodology and how it's achieved. We've talked about all the good housekeeping. That's the UNIDO methodology. Process optimization, technology upgrades, waste valorization. The 5-step RECP process. Planning, assessment, identification of RECP options, implementation, monitoring, and continuous improvement. We dealt with this in detail, Abby. So, next slide.
I work with Professor Oluwole, Professor Aino, Professor Ashubiojo, Professor, and all those people in the AE at that time. So I came to appreciate the importance of having a good environment. However, sir, during the course of your teaching, a lot of people have developed their own plan for good environmental, the Kyoto, but what are we doing as a people to have our own plan that is actually cut out for us so that we can have a better understanding of what environmental assessment and good use of environment is all about, that will be tailored to us. For instance, like here now, we are so few in my own mind because the impact of this thing is much. And then how far will the dissemination of this information gotten from here, how will it go? Again, when you have already in mind that you are graduating people from one level to the other, so which means you're going to reduce the number of people that will do something from here. So what are you going to, I think the people here in my mind, they are too small. It's too few. So that's number one. Then number two is that from here also, how positive or effective will it be that actually from here we'll get somebody who will be interested in something out of what we have discussed. For instance, cocoa, the waste of cocoa, we use it for soap, right? Because I do soap, I do herbal things. I make cosmetics, everything I do from herbs. Like somebody's waste material is my own raw material. So how do we get our youth now to be interested in these things that we find in our locality so that they can work on this environmental impact on it? For instance, cocoa, some people from Oyo State, they do this black soap very well. They get their cocoa from the other side. But after that, you still have a lot of cocoa waste that is still there. Then from the black soap people too, by the time they finish making their black soap, they have a lot of hill of ashes. Because about 2 years ago, I did that work. I went around where they are producing black soap. And afterward, you see hill of ashes where nothing can grow there anymore. So what can we do to make sure that all those things, that's what we want to see, so that we can have an understanding and then we can improve on our environment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, congratulations. You worked with a lot of my colleagues. I know, and Oshibanjo, and we are colleagues. We work together. They came more from the chemical background. I came from the medical background, but we were colleagues. The important thing is that awareness creation is it's a big deal. Most of our problems are that people are not aware. It's not that Nigerians don't want to do the right thing. But when that is said, I look at my bosses here. They have to look for more funding for these things to be successful. And it's not just about man, or it's about Federal Ministry of Environment. It should be their core area. It should be, and like I keep saying, it's, sorry that I use these words, it's about leadership. It's about people sit and wait for budgetary disbursements. But like I keep saying, there's so much global funding. We were just seeing scandals that are coming out from USAID, where they were using money for doing terrible things and things that, but there were critical issues to be done globally. Thank God for Trump. If he hadn't come, nobody would have known that this was how the world was going. So, but there's so much global funding. And I've used the issue of something like the Green Climate Fund. I've used the issue of, when we wanted to do PCB, when we started it with the World Bank, nobody knew that there was so much fun and that there was money lying about globally. So it's about that awareness. If people in the system, where's Muritala now? Because tomorrow they'll be the bosses. It's about knowing that we don't have to depend on just budget. We have to think out of the box. And then, but the important thing is that all these things cost money. I can speak all the grammar that I like here. At the end of the day, it's only people that have, but I can't carry a bell and go on the streets and start shouting. But I use every opportunity I have. And like I have told each and every one of you, environment will be the most critical issue for the next 50 years. No other field. I said at least no other issue will be more important than environmental issues for the. So I read medicine as a first degree, but early on, when we saw that where the world was headed, I went and I went and read environment. I read environmental management fully, and I read it to doctorate level. But the point is that people must understand that when you understand the environmental issues and challenges impact heavily on health, they impact on energy, they impact heavily on gender issues, they impact heavily on virtually all human issues. Agriculture, we are now talking about food scarcity, desertification, the mental health issues, all these things. So each area of human endeavor is impacted one way or the other by climate change and environmental challenges. And so the issue you're talking about, awareness, is very, very important. But there's so little that individuals can do. It's about getting up, which was why I was happy when they brought policymakers for us to train. We trained them, but not at the level, not the level we expected to come. But you know, Nigerians, once they'll send their subordinates and all that. But they need to find a way to get the people at the top. It's the same thing we're talking about the RECP mechanism. That if you have an RECP officer in charge, and if he does not have direct access to the MD, then it is not going to work. So we must find a way, and that's what UNIDO and MAN, I guess that's why UNIDO started this program, and that's why they've invited some of us to assist. If we keep pushing, and I'm happy that you are aware that this needs to be done. If every one of us here, if we all become aware, we'll become the vanguard of what we hope to do. But I cannot tell you that we are going to do this. We can only hope and work as hard as we are working. That's all I can say. But let's keep pushing. I can exist. The hides and skin people can exist. The important thing is, why can't a country as rich as Nigeria or as Kano do a proper effluent treatment facility that will collect? You know that most of those from the hides and skin people, it just goes on the ground there. Yes. And most of the drainage systems, the pipes are broken.
And to make matters worse, the water treatment plant that supplied Kano State in general is also located at Chalawa.
Yes. That's what we are saying. And there's so much pollution. And these things so it's just about our not being serious, our not telling, our leadership's not telling themselves about thinking of the people in any way. Probably because they have sources of water. Maybe they all drink bottled water and all that. But it's that selfishness, exactly.
So my question is dancing around.
RECP. It is the same thing. It is the same question, Madam, as that you have come back to that again. It is, and I was looking each time people ask that question. I look at Chief Oladipo because me as a consultant, there's very little. All I can do is speak grammar. It is people like them that are the policy makers. See, Madam, beside you, they are the policy makers. See, Muritala here. They are the policy makers. It is people like this who will become directors tomorrow, and that will insist on, because we need to go into industries now. We need to go to governments. We need to go to schools. We need to go to academia. And then, yes, the awareness has to be created. It is the starting point. And that's what they are doing. But they are doing it on a scale like this. Thank God that they've even started. If it is this number, if we had been doing it this way over the years, probably we'll have a mass of people who can push it on. But we have to start somewhere. At least let's thank God that they have started. I know you want to add something.
Yes. What we are doing today is basically on a project. And this project is a pilot project that we expect to maybe spread to other places. Like what we have 5 sectors in the industries that this project is impacting. Yes, when you talk of RECP, supposed to be voluntary, but human nature, we seem not to like something voluntary. And when you look down, you cascade it down to industries, they will gain something from it. So awareness or no awareness, if an industry subjected itself to RECP and is making gain, then the neighbor, those people that are close to that industry, they see differences coming out here and there. I think things will move, and this awareness we are shouting about will also be there. And I want to say something. The era of we are leaving AC in the director's office or the CEO's office overnight or when it's not there, that one is going out gradually. Then that you have a car park, then you leave light there overnight. I think that one is stopping gradually. So when you notice all these things, RECP has come to stay. IEE has also come to stay. So those are the things that will lead to what you are saying.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for the wonderful lecture. The RECP is the one area I love so much. And, the way you were throwing the light, especially on the carbon credit, it's very good for the industries to, harness. Let me say in a simple term, the resource efficiency cleaner production is a continuous application of environmental strategy that has to do with being preventive, and is an integration. So what it means is that it's a gradual thing. You start today, you keep applying it. When it comes to policy, because we are coming from the policy side of view, and regulation, we understand that the end of pipe process has to stop. What do I mean by end of pipe pollution control is we allow the pollution to occur before we begin to look for ways to remediate what has happened. That is what RECP has come to stop. So what we want to do under RECP is to enact policies that will help industries to manage their waste at source, which is exactly what Oga has been explaining. It starts from marketing, from procurement. Because, like I said, resource efficiency is preventive. How best can you prevent this pollution from coming up in the first instance? So if you procure a material that will impact so much negative on the environment, what it means is that it will happen. But before you procure the material, if you had checked very well and do your procurement, okay, like take for instance granules. Let's break it down. You are an industry, you produce granite oil. And what happens is that you go to the market, you buy the granite with the shaft, as in with the husk. Somebody can go to the market and buy the one that has already been shelled. You don't have the husk there. But so for somebody who buys with the husk, comes to his industry and breaks and gets probably the one you buy with the shell is cheaper normally, because those people that after removing it, they will put the cost of removing the thing and processing it to a granite that you understand. So you have to do the analysis, know which one to buy. Now, if you buy with the shell and you come to your industry and you remove the back and you get the husk, that means you're ready to treat the husk. You should know that when you come to your industry, that is going to happen. So that is being proactive. Now, the policy side of it, like Madam mentioned, we have a lot we are doing when it comes to awareness, which is part of what we want the industries to take advantage of, which is industrial symbiosis. That means you have to let go of some vital informations to the government, because we are documenting industries with their feedstock and their waste, the waste they produce after the whole process is done, so that we can pair industries. Industries, like you said, information is key. So if we have a database where I know that company A produces this man there, he said cassava peel, for instance, and he's able to give us information that yes, we produce cassava peel, and this is the quantity of cassava peel we produce. And we have an investor who wants to maybe produce feed or biogas or whatever fertilizer, biofertilizer, and we can easily reach to this man because he's already in the database. So we can already say, go to the database and say, this company A produces what you want, and we can synergize these two companies. So it's a way of managing this waste at source. So nothing, that is the circular economy that we are talking about. But the industries had to open their mind to accept these concepts, these new concepts that is coming. So at the end of the day, you will still see part of a group from this project coming to your industry to request for this simple data that we will need to, move RECP to the next level. Thank you.
Okay, it's part of
During the IEE time, we are going to do that one tomorrow for RECP. Then tomorrow we are going to sign out. So if you are here today and you are not here tomorrow, you miss a lot of things. And by way of digression, let me just say this one. The essence of IEE and RECP is that when you do all these things, it is possible for you to carry out IEE and RECP without spending kobo. When you observe those things that lead to IEE and RECP, you may not even spend money. You off your light when you are not using it. That does not cost you anything. You establish car park. Anybody that is coming to your factory has to go and look for a way to park his car. They even put it there now as owner's risk. Then you are using 5 bulbs, like here, this is an hotel. If it's your own private facility, you open the window and let the climate jump in. You pay nothing for that. You recycle your water. It doesn't cost you anything to recycle your water. You don't pay for that. So it is possible for you to get the benefit of IEE and RECP without spending kobo. And you know, when you have dead bulbs, you leave them there. You don't replace them. A lot of energy or certain amount of energy still go to that point. And you may be losing energy towards that. It doesn't cost you anything. So the benefit is enormous. Tomorrow also, we have some other things that we are going to do, but we will wait till tomorrow for that. So it is on this note, if there are other questions, that we bring this training for today to an end. So if there is any question, you are free to ask questions now before we call it a day. No question? Okay, we are good to go.
All right, good day. My name is Okoli Valentine from Batch and One Limited. SMEs for visibility. You see, when I was driving in, there were so many forces that wanted me not to come. I won't mention that. But immediately I entered the room, I knew I was supposed to be here. Yes, I knew I was supposed to be here. Because one, the training I got today first, trust me, if I was to pay for it, I would have been paying in USD. That's one. And for tomorrow's meeting, if you know you were supposed to be here today and you didn't come today, please don't come tomorrow. Miss tomorrow's own too. But on a serious note, it was amazing. I expected that I would learn so much. And one of the key things I learned is saving energy. You don't need millions to be able to save energy for your own processing and your own production if you are into production business. But the most important thing is how little you can save energy. It's not that hard. Thank you.
My name is Philomena Mfonesin, HSC team lead from Abuja Nigerian Limited. My expectation is learning more about industrial energy and efficiency and resource efficient cleaner. I've been able to widen my knowledge concerning how to preserve energy, how to identify energy waste in an industry, and how to mitigate the waste product of an energy. Not just that, I've also been able to understand that carbon dioxide can also be traded in international markets. So I've learned a whole lot from this training. And I will say thank you very much to MAN. Thank you very much to EFG, UNIDO for organizing this training for us.
My name is Sibidonia Annette Roberts. I'm the CEO and founder of IBY Robots and Company Limited. At IBY Robots and Company Limited, we actually deal with nature. We use environmental plants to produce cosmetics and to make healthy lifestyle. We don't do additive. So coming here for this program now, talking about RECP project in Nigeria. It's also in line with what I am doing, so I'm happy about it. And I'm also happy about the simplicity of the lecture, breaking down of the impact assessment, things that is there, the policies, and the need to involve industries. So that at the beginning, even as little as a small cottage and big industries, involving them in how to manage the environment, it's actually mind-blowing. And I'm happy that this is happening at this particular time now. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Wamed Hawa. I am from HSN International Limited. My key takeaways from today's training has been how to better energy efficiency, better energy conservation, how to properly manage waste, and how we can transform various waste products into sources of energy and all of that. Like I said, one man's waste, the other man's raw material.
Good day, everyone. My name is Egu Abba Kingsley, QA manager for HSM International Limited. So I'm here representing HSM for this program funded by GEF-UNIDO. Actually, it was a great experience participating in this program. It was also a great opportunity. Out of the many, we really few chosen to participate in this great opportunity. As the program stated, it's all about industrial energy efficiency and resource efficient cleaner production. So my take home from this program is I feel I've gained more experience, more knowledge on how to have a safe production and also not endangering the environment from our session on RECP. And also when it comes to IEE, though I'm the quality director of where I work, so I'm going to take this back to the company and discuss with the maintenance department towards achieving energy efficiency and energy conservation. Thank you. And also my expectation for tomorrow is that since the program just started today, I feel by tomorrow and I'm expecting to gain more knowledge into RECP and also IEE. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my name is Mr. Michael Onoche Ojogo. I'm from Global Smart Fit Nigeria Limited. I'm the Chief Maintenance Officer. Yeah, I so much want to give thanks to the organizers of this program. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I have a lot to go back to my industry to impact how to maximize energy, how to reduce costs in energy. There are some ways you can use to manage the cost of energy. In our society today, other products are being wasted and other people are using it to impact their product. So I'm so much happy for this training. It's a huge success. And I learned a lot, so much in this training. So at least I will go back with a huge knowledge of from this RECP, because it has a lot of package on it. I have to go and study more about it. So I thank God for the organizers. May God strengthen them, continue to impart knowledge to other societies so that at long last, our society will be a better place for a living. Thank you very much.
My name is Engineer Ibrahim M. Ahmed. I'm from Tawada Limited, a subsidiary of the Nigerian Security Operating I'm the head of Technical Services Department. Well, I happen to be in this workshop, and my key stake on this workshop is we have learned a lot as regards to the environment effects from this plan. The workshop entails a lot when it comes to our environment, energy efficiency, the way we work in our industries. Also, brings out all the nitty-gritty necessary to have an efficient production flow process, taking into consideration all the environmental factors that are supposed to impact on any industrial or manufacturing process setup. So when we talk on our industries of today, we have a lot to go compared to our counterpart industries elsewhere in the developed countries. We have to really go back to the drawing board and imbibe the culture of, concern as regards to environmental pollution. Most of our industry, most especially as the facilitator mentioned in his lecture, he cited a case in Kano State where we have the leather industries, in conflict with the Coca-Cola because of the discharge of all this environmental waste. So this is a very important seminar which brings out key aspects as regard to those factors that affect our environment and also the general health of the general public. So with this lecture, we have learned a lot, and we are going to use all those things that we learned in this lecture and in fact on our society. Call our people into order, make them aware, make them know the danger of all those things that are happening that will have an adverse effect on their